That's a lot of money, Matt, no doubt about it. On Friday, news broke regarding the potential record-breaking sale of the San Diego Padres. Joining us now with his thoughts on that $3.9 billion prize tag, and Mr. Matt Skraby with 97.3 The Fan. Matt, what do you think of $3.9 billion?
It's definitely a lot of money. It's a lot more than I thought the Padres were going to fetch. Originally, when we went into this process, it was about $2.5 billion, and then it became $3 billion, and then it became $3.5 billion. And then unofficially, it's $3.9 billion, which is almost $1.5 billion more than what the Mets owner paid for his team.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then that would be a record for Major League Baseball, but that's obviously the Dodgers, the Yankees, and everybody else. They're not for sale. If they would be, that would shatter the mold, if you will. How have fans been reacting on the radio and just out and about?
I think people are excited about this. The more we learned about Jose E. Feliciano and his wife Kwanzaa Jones, it seems like they understand what it is to own a team. And I just wanted to read this quote that Jose Feliciano was at a business conference in March, and he said, "If you own a sports club, you have to understand that you're a steward of something much broader, and the impact on the community is much broader than just a business or just a sport."
Okay.
So it seems like he gets it, and that's one of the things I was worried about with a potential owner, is not understanding San Diego's love for the Padres and not understanding how important the Padres are. And that quote right there, back in March before this even happened, tells me he understands that a team is not just a business to make money off of.
Right.
It's a business, it's a thing to make lasting memories.
What more do we know about these potential owners? I know he's a part owner in Chelsea Football Club in England. How has he handled that?
He has been he hasn't been the guy who's making all the decisions. There's someone above him.
Okay.
So he put the money into it. He definitely is involved with Chelsea and the things that they're doing, but he's not making roster moves. I do know this. He is not afraid to spend money. They have put a lot of money into players for Chelsea.
Right.
Even if it's not the right choice, they have spent that money. So I think fans can look at that and think, man, if he's spending money in Chelsea, he's going to spend money here. You don't pay $4 billion nearly for a team and just convert it to a mediocre team.
Okay. How do you think they're going to approach? Because, you know, the business side of this is a huge, huge deal. When you deal with payroll and you hear about different teams, like the Mets have the biggest payroll, they're a disaster right now in baseball. So it's not just about spending money. How do they approach the payroll? How do they deal with the potential salary cap impacting when they come in?
Well, the salary cap is a whole different thing that we're going to have to wait for, because the salary cap I don't think is going to happen, at least initially.
Okay.
At least initially. It may be something that they can work into over years. But I do think that he's going to come in, and he and she and his wife, Kwanzaa, are going to come in, and they are going to just continue status quo. It seems like that. And they're not going to be afraid to spend a little bit of money. If I'm taking all of my evidence from what he's done with Chelsea and what he's done over his career, he is not afraid to spend money. And that's my biggest takeaway from this, is that he will invest into the product.
When a new ownership comes in, a billionaire guy comes in, he oftentimes wants to do his own thing. What about the front office for the San Diego Padres? What stays the same? What potentially could change?
I think a lot of it stays the same.
Okay.
I think A.J. Preller stays. I think you can't just come in and buy this team and then kick a guy out who's been here for 15 years, who has built a playoff team here in the last few years. I don't think much changes, really, other than the person at the top, which is Jose E. Feliciano and his wife Kwanzaa Jones. I don't think much changes in that way. There could be some small changes. There could be some business side changes, but I don't really see them coming in and trying to overhaul the baseball side of things.
But it's like you said, understanding as an owner, as a billionaire coming in, understanding what the community relationship is to their professional team. They know this town, what they went through with the Chargers. They don't want anything like that, obviously.
No.
And these Padres are part of this town, and it's in the people's bloods.
It is.
So they know.
They know, and you have to take this team and you have to be a little bit different than all the other teams in baseball. You have to realize that this team has diehard fans that will stand by you through everything.
No doubt.
And if you pay attention to the fans, if you take care of the fans, fans will take care of you in San Diego.
I was half wink joking that when they were kind of flaunting this $1.1 million in one day of the City Connect jersey sales, that was also a message to ownership. to potential new ownership,
You
look
kidding
at
me?
the fan base and what they're willing to do in terms of spending money. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's all about the money. And that's probably bumped up the price to 3.9 from 3.5. You never know.
You know, I read something.
Yeah.
Because the financial books are usually closed for most teams.
Right.
And so they came in, they looked at the books, and they said, "Hey, we're going to pay $3.9 billion for this business." And that tells me that they liked what they saw.
Of course.
Yeah, a lot.
They liked it a lot.
A lot.
Before we let you go, let's talk a little bit about the season, how it's going so far. What, 15-7?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty good. 5 series victories in a row against
Yep.
some decent teams. And talk to me about the team right now.
Yeah, they're playing really, really good baseball right now. They're not like blowing out teams, but that's okay. They're doing the things that they need to do. Like Fernando on Saturday night, instead of trying to hit a home run, he got jammed and he hit a 50-mile-an-hour ground ball through the right
The
side.
squibber through the right
for 2
side.
RBIs. For 2 RBIs.
We were laughing. We were there. at
Everybody
that game,
was.
And we saw that. And I don't think I've laughed so much at a baseball game from that squibber that went into right field.
I know. It was pretty funny. And he said that he originally learned that from Luis Ariz, because Luis Ariz is able to get that.
Sure.
But the team's playing really well. The starting pitching is concerning.
Yes.
We've lost Nick Pivetta, and we still don't have Joe Musgrove. That will be a question going forward. But the rest of the team right now seems to be okay.
Okay. I wasn't going to bring it up, but it seems like after that March 5th spring training start that Joe had, then they shut him down. It's been nothing but radio silence.
I've been doing
From
my
the whole organization.
Yeah, I've been trying to get some information.
What's going on there?
His elbow is just not cooperating, from what I gather.
Okay.
And they still think that he's going to pitch this year, but with these elbow injuries, rest is the key. And
We know
so
from
if they
Nick
give him,
Pivetta, too.
yes, yeah, I'm not really sure if we're getting Nick Pivetta back, but
Wow. Unbelievable.
I don't want to catastrophize right now when they're 15.
I was at that game on Sunday when they took him out, too. I got to stop going to the
Yeah, what are you doing?
I don't know what
Jake
I'm doing.
Cronenworth gets hit in the face by a baseball. You're there.
How's your elbow?
My elbow's fine. My elbow's good.
Matt Skraby, always a pleasure.
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you.